floor to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, audience. I'll talk about water use of Japanese plums in the Western Cape. Okay, we all know the importance of the plum industry in terms of the extent of cultivation, the production, the job creation. Irrigation is fundamental if a farm wants to get good yields and high profits. But we don't know a lot about crop water requirements for both irrigation management and for water licensing. So the aim of this research project that's funded by ORDGRO and the Water Research Commission is to give estimates, produce estimates of water use of fully growing, well-managed Japanese plums in two main production regions, that's in Wellington and Robertson. And the specific objectives are to determine water use under micro jets and drip irrigation, to relate water use to water productivity, both biophysical and economic, and to determine crop coefficients, which is a well-known approach to calculate crop water requirements for the purpose of water allocations. And also to develop a methodology modeling, basically, to be able to estimate water use under different conditions in different climatic regions. So we are running some intensive experiments in the vicinity of Wellington on Saint-Rifier, where we have a few orchards, a late maturing African Delight, an early maturing Fortune that was uprooted and it was replaced with a very early maturing Ruby Sun. And at the bottom, it's the location in Robertson. It's Smith Brothers, where we have a late maturing African Delight orchard and an early maturing Fortune orchard. So at these, in these blocks, in these orchards, we've been collecting data for about 2 years, weather data from the Agricultural Research Council. Then we collect soil water contents, we log them with AquaCheck probes. We collect samples for gravimetric soil water content. We measure soil evaporation with microlasimeters, leaf area index and canopy cover with a plant canopy analyzer. We get crop yields and irrigation volumes from the farms. And recently we installed an eddy covariance flux tower to measure the surface energy balance. And we're also using some new products, they are called Satura's sensors that measure stem water potential by measuring the humidity of the soft tissue inside the tree trunks. We also use the HYDRAS model to calculate the soil-water balance, and we use the well-known method of Allen and Pereira to determine crop coefficients. And we use Fruit Look and SEPS, which are two satellite-derived products to estimate evapotranspiration at a large scale. So we are basically, substantially, we are measuring all components of the system, the soil, the plant, and the atmosphere. And this is the type of data, examples of data that we are getting, that soil water contents logged with AquaCheck probes. We collected these data for about 2 years. Then the stem water potentials with the Satura sensors since beginning of this year. We also have the eddy flux covariance tower, the surface energy balance data that's working since recently, and that's the most direct method to estimate evapotranspirative fluxes. So it's like the reference method for all the others. This is an example of cumulative water fluxes in the soil profile that were calculated with the HYDRAS model. I also made a little calculator in Excel to calculate crop coefficients and then crop water requirements from weather data and crop data, and arguably could be used under different conditions. One of the students on the project also did the work on comparing evapotranspiration with fruit look from microjets and drip irrigated orchards. And he used many blocks, many orchards around Robertson and Wellington. These are the farms and orchards around Robertson. Okay, so he used to compare how much is the water used from drip and microjets on more than 200 orchards in these production regions. So what did we found? We found crop coefficients for initial late stage and mid stage over 2 seasons, and we found that they are quite consistent with what has been published in the literature in terms of crop coefficients in very high density orchards. We also calculated crop water requirements over 2 seasons. So that's basically the third row in this table. These are values from the beginning of the season in September to harvest. Okay, so it's not the full season, the full hydrological season. Many farms keep on irrigating after harvesting to avoid carryover effects and so on. So we have data also to calculate the water requirements for the full season, the hydrological year. The yields were quite stable, which indicates that the farms are well managed, and also the water productivities, the yields per cubic meter of water produced on these, in these orchards. So main findings, we determined crop coefficients, and we found the international Allen and Pereira method to be quite robust. Robust means if you enter input values that are realistic, the output, the crop coefficient is not going to change so much. Then we established consumptive water use, so the crop water requirements for the purpose of water allocations that typically occur in these fully producing orchards. That depends mainly on the length of the season, but keeping in mind that we need to use the whole hydrological year to calculate the total water use over the year. And pruning leaf area basically. It's a major factor that's going to determine the water use. The yields and the biophysical water productivity were stable. In the comparison between microjets and drip irrigation, we found contrasting results, but generally we found that microjets use slightly more water than drip irrigation in these, on these farms that we investigated. And I would like to thank all the contributors and the participants to the project, in particular the farms, because without the farms we wouldn't be able to collect this data. Thank you.